The four horsemen ride westward with the fury of a storm. Harry McCombs leads the way, his jaw set in grim determination, his eyes fixed on the horizon where Fenmore Town waits. Behind him ride Shane Baldwin, Nat Kulkrick, and Stuart Lincoln, men of wealth and influence reduced to mere instruments of Harry's rage. They push their horses hard, stopping only when absolutely necessary. The rage that burns in Harry's chest fuels every mile, every breath. He replays the saloon scene over and over in his mind. The laughter, the mockery, the drunken speculation about his sister bearing children with Jonah Williams. Each memory is gasoline on the fire of his anger. "We're doing the right thing," Baldwin says on the third night as they make camp. "Your sister has been led astray. She needs to be brought home, shown the error of her ways." "It's not just about Lily," Harry says, poking at the fire with a stick. "It's about restoring our family's honor, about showing Fort Myers that the McCombs family won't tolerate such disgrace." Kulkrick nods. "And that horse thief needs to answer for what he's done, taking a judge's daughter. That's a crime in itself." "He didn't take her," Lincoln points out. "She went willingly." Harry's head snaps up, his eyes blazing. "Don't you dare suggest my sister chose this willingly. She's been bewitched, corrupted. That's the only explanation." The others fall silent, recognizing the dangerous edge in Harry's voice. They've seen him like this before, consumed by a certainty that brooks no doubt, no alternative perspective. It's what makes him a formidable lawyer, this absolute conviction. But out here on the frontier, conviction without wisdom can be deadly. As they ride on, Harry's rage continues to build. He's fighting not just to bring his sister back, but to retain the lost glory of his family name, to cover the shame that threatens to destroy everything the McCombs family has built. In his mind, this has become a crusade, a holy war between civilization and chaos, between order and degradation. He never stops to consider that perhaps the chaos and degradation exist not in Fenmore Town, but in his own heart. Back in Fenmore Town, Deputy Miller's warning has not been taken lightly. Since his escape from Fort Myers and his arrival in the settlement, he's been recovering from his wounds, both physical and spiritual. The bullet wound in his leg is healing, though he'll walk with a limp for the rest of his life. The wound to his faith in justice, however, runs deeper. "They'll come," Miller tells the assembled leaders of Fenmore Town. Samuel Three Bears, Jonah Williams, Jesse Orwin, Fat Benny Joe, and Kodiak. Men like Baldwin, Kulkrick, and Lincoln don't give up easily. And Harry McCombs, he's young, angry, and convinced he's righteous. That makes him dangerous. Samuel Three Bears nods slowly. "Then we prepare. But we prepare for defense, not offense. We will not strike first. We are not the aggressors here." Kodiak speaks up, his voice. "My people will watch the approaches to town. No one will enter Fenmore without us knowing. We'll have warning." Jesse Orwin cracks his knuckles, his blacksmith's hands making the sound like breaking branches. "And once they're here, what then?" "We show them that Fenmore Town protects its own," Fat Benny Joe says, his usually jovial face serious. "But we don't kill unless we have to. These men are fools, but they're not outlaws. Not yet." Jonah has been silent throughout this discussion, his hand resting on Lily's shoulder. She sits beside him, her face pale but determined. "This is my fault," she says quietly. "My brother is coming because of me. Maybe I should—" "No." Jonah's voice is firm. "You're not going anywhere. We face this together, whatever comes." Samuel Three Bears looks at the young couple with something approaching sadness. "Love is a powerful force," he says, "but so is hatred. And hatred backed by pride and shame? That is a storm that can destroy everything in its path. You must be ready for what's coming, both of you." Over the following days, Fenmore Town transforms itself into a fortress. Not with walls and battlements, those would go against everything the town stands for, but with watchfulness and solidarity. Kodiak positions his Native American warriors at strategic points around the settlement. Jesse organizes the black cowboys into defensive positions. Even the Chinese and Latino residents arm themselves and take up watch. And in a small cabin on the edge of town, Jonah and Lily prepare for whatever comes. They clean their weapons, check their ammunition, and hold each other close during the long nights, knowing that the peace they've built here hangs by the thinnest of threads. Lily has news she hasn't yet shared with anyone but Jonah. She's pregnant, 1 month along, barely showing, but the life growing inside her makes this confrontation feel even more urgent, more dangerous. She places her hand on her still flat stomach and whispers a prayer to a God she's not sure is listening. Please, let this end without bloodshed. Let my child know peace. Harry McCombs and his 3 companions arrive at the entrance to Fenmore Town on a dusty afternoon, their horses lathered with sweat from days of hard riding. What they see stops them cold. The town is unlike anything they've encountered before. Black men walk freely alongside white men. Native Americans trade goods with Chinese merchants. Latino families sit on porches, their children playing in the street with children of every color imaginable. It's a vision of something Harry's world has told him is impossible. A place where the rigid hierarchies of race and class have dissolved into something new, something unfamiliar. It fills him with revulsion and fear in equal measure. This is an abomination, Baldwin mutters, his face twisted with disgust.
God,
These people living together like this, it's unnatural. They're outcasts, Kulkrick adds, banished from decent society, gathered here in their own little pit of degradation. But Harry notices something else too, the way the townspeople look at them. Not with fear or deference, but with wariness and barely concealed hostility. These are not broken people grateful for any scrap of tolerance. These are people who have built something and are prepared to defend it. As they ride slowly down the main street, the crowd parts before them, but then closes behind, surrounding them. Harry's hand drifts toward his revolver, his lawyer's instincts screaming that they've walked into a trap. Then he sees them. Kodiak and his Native American warriors, positioned at key points around the street. Jesse Orwin and Fat Benny Joe with their teams of black cowboys, rifles held ready but not yet raised. Other townspeople, armed and watchful, their faces grim with purpose. An old Native American man steps forward, leaning on a walking stick. His face is deeply lined, his eyes ancient and knowing. Samuel Three Bears, the Cheyenne elder who founded this place. "You are not welcome here," Three Bears says, his voice carrying clearly in the tense silence. "Turn back now, before this ends in violence." Harry's rage, building for days, finally finds its outlet. He stands in his stirrups, his voice harsh and loud. "Don't tell me what to do, old savage. I'm looking for the horse thief called Jonah Williams, and I'm here to take my sister Lily McCombs back home to Fort Myers where she belongs." Three Bears' expression doesn't change. "Your sister is here by choice. She is happy. She is loved. Why would you take that from her?" "Because she's been corrupted," Harry shouts, "seduced by someone beneath her station, someone not of her kind. It's my duty as her brother to save her from this degradation." Samuel Three Bears regards him with something approaching pity. "Young man, I have lived many years and seen much suffering, and I can tell you this: love is not degradation. Love is not corruption. Love is the only force in this world strong enough to overcome hatred. Learn to love, and love will conquer all the darkness in your heart." Harry's face contorts with fury. "Don't preach to me, old man. We love only our kind. Where is my goddamn sister? I want to see her now." He draws his revolver and fires 3 shots into the air, sharp cracks that echo off the buildings. The horses shy and stamp, but Kodiak and his men don't flinch. They've faced worse than an angry young lawyer firing his gun at the sky. Samuel Three Bears turns slightly and whispers something to a Native American teenager standing nearby, an errand boy. The boy nods and disappears into the crowd, running toward the house where Jonah and Lily wait. Meanwhile, Baldwin, Kulkrick, and Lincoln have been watching Harry's performance with growing unease. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. They'd imagined riding in, finding the girl, and leaving with her before anyone could organize resistance. But now they're surrounded by armed men, outnumbered and outmaneuvered. Still, pride won't let them back down. Baldwin raises his voice, adding his curses to Harry's. "You people are harboring a criminal, a horse thief. Hand him over and we'll leave peacefully." "He's no thief," a voice calls from the crowd. "The real thief confessed on his deathbed." "Lies," Kulkrick shouts. "All lies to protect one of your own." The tension ratchets higher. Hands move toward weapons on both sides. The air itself seems to vibrate with the potential for violence. This is the Wild West at its most dangerous. Two groups of armed men, separated by ideology and skin color, each convinced of their own righteousness. Samuel Three Bears raises his walking stick high, and the crowd falls silent. He begins to chant in Cheyenne, his voice rising and falling in an ancient rhythm. Even those who don't understand the words can feel their power, a prayer, a blessing, a warning. When he finishes, he lowers the stick and looks directly at Harry, Baldwin, Kulkrick, and Lincoln. His eyes seem to see through them, to see all their secrets and shames. "You will leave Fenmore Town in shame," he says quietly. "This I know, this I have seen. Your hatred will bring you nothing but defeat." Harry pulls out a tin can of whiskey from his saddlebag, uncorks it, and takes a long swig. He passes it to Baldwin, who drinks, and passes it to Kulkrick, who passes it to Lincoln. All four of them laugh harsh, brittle sounds that speak more of fear than mirth. Old jokes from an old foolish savage. Harry sneers, his words slurred slightly from the liquor. "You think you can frighten us with your mumbo-jumbo? We're civilized men. We represent law and order." But even as he speaks, he sees movement in his peripheral vision. More men emerging from buildings and side streets. Jesse Orwin, massive and imposing. Fat Benny Joe, his bulk somehow threatening despite his usual jovial nature. Miller, yes, that's Deputy Miller, the man who was supposed to be in prison looking healthier but walking with a limp. And behind them, a veritable army of townspeople. Black cowboys, white cowboys, Latino cowboys, all armed, all determined. They move in perfect coordination, surrounding Harry and his companions completely. There's no escape route now, no way out except through a wall of armed men. Harry feels ice slide down his spine despite his bravado. They're trapped. Harry's voice cracks as he screams into the crowd. "Where is my sister? Where is that horse thief? He better come out and have a one-on-one fight with me. Where is he at?
Where is my sister?"
It ain't hard to tell. The crowd parts, and two horses approach. On the first rides Jonah Williams, his posture straight and proud, his hand resting on the rifle at his side but not drawing it. On the horse behind him sits Lily McCombs, her face serene despite the chaos around her. And beside them, on a third horse, rides Miller, his expression grim but resolute. Harry's breath catches in his throat. There she is, his sister, the girl he grew up with, the last connection to their mother. But she looks different somehow. Stronger, more certain. She looks at him not with fear or shame, but with pity. He dismounts quickly and strides toward her, reaching out to grab her hand. "Lily, thank God! Come on, we're leaving. I'm taking you home where you belong." But Lily pulls her hand away sharply, her eyes flashing. "Harry, stop. Just stop." "Lily, you don't understand," he begins, but she cuts him off. "No, you don't understand," she says firmly. "This town, these people, they're not beneath me, Harry. They're good people who've built something beautiful here, something free from the hatred and prejudice that poisons places like Fort Myers. And Jonah," she reaches back and takes Jonah's hand. "Jonah is not a horse thief. He's not beneath my station. He's the man I love, and he's going to be my husband. Brink." Harry's face contorts with rage and disgust. "You've been corrupted. Can't you see that? This place, these people, they've poisoned your mind, making that. That horse thief, your lover, is an abomination, Lily. It goes against nature. against God, against everything our family stands for. Lily's hand shoots out and slaps him across the face hard enough to snap his head to the side. The crowd gasps. Harry staggers back, his hand flying to his reddening cheek. "Never in your life, Harry McCombs," Lily says, her voice shaking with fury. "Throw such rude, insulting words at my lover. My decision is final, and I am in love with Jonah Williams." She steps closer to Jonah, grabbing him and cuddling against his side. She looks Harry directly in the eyes, and what she says next hits like a thunderbolt. "And Harry, I'm having Jonah's baby. I'm 1 month pregnant." The silence that follows is absolute. Harry's face goes through a transformation from shock to disbelief to horror to pure incandescent rage. Behind him, Baldwin, Culcrick, and Lincoln stare at Lily with expressions of disgust and hatred. "No," Harry whispers, then louder. "No, this can't be happening. Pregnant? With his child? Do you have any idea what you've done to our family?" His face is now bright red, sweat pouring down his temples despite the cool afternoon air. "Look at what you've brought to the McCombs family. A total disgrace. We're going to be the laughingstock of the entire territory. All of this is Father's fault, all of it." If Judge Wayne McCombs had passed final judgment that day, if he'd just done his duty and hanged this horse thief when he had the chance, none of this would have happened. He points an accusing finger at Lily. "If only I hadn't been out of town at university getting my law degree. If I'd been there, I would have made sure justice was served." This is the outcome of Father's weakness, his sentimentality, his inability to do what needed to be done. Jonah dismounts and walks toward Harry, stopping just a few feet away. They stand face to face, the black cowboy who was nearly hanged and the white lawyer who believes himself righteous. "You need to leave Fenmore Town," Jonah says quietly. "You and your men, immediately. Lily has made her choice, and you have no say in it." Harry's lip curls in a sneer. "You dare speak to me in such a manner, horse thief? You, a common criminal, a man who should be dead and buried? You think you can order me around?" The words that follow are vile, hateful racial slurs that have no place being repeated. Harry unleashes all his rage and fear and shame in a torrent of abuse, calling Jonah every degrading name he can think of. And then he shoves Jonah hard in the chest, sending him stumbling backward. The crowd surges forward, but Jonah raises a hand, stopping them. He slowly gets to his feet, dusts off his clothes, and walks back to stand in front of Harry. His face is calm, but his eyes burn with controlled fury. "I will not fight you," Jonah says, "because that's what you want. You want to turn this into violence, so you can claim you were defending yourself, so you can go back home and say you were attacked by savages and criminals. But I won't give you that satisfaction." Miller steps forward then, his limp pronounced but his bearing authoritative. "Harry McCombs, Shane Baldwin, Nat Culcrick, Stuart Lincoln, listen to me carefully. Jonah Williams is not a horse thief. The real thief confessed before he died. The Blood Bay mare was returned. Judge McCombs himself dismissed the charges. This man is innocent of the crime he was accused of." "Lies," Baldwin shouts. "All lies to cover for your conspiracy." "You killed that boy, Collins," Culcrick adds. "And Barry, too. You're a murderer hiding behind false claims of innocence." Miller's face hardens. "I killed no one. Collins died from his wounds after we were ambushed by bandits. Barry died trying to murder Jonah in cold blood. Everything I testified to was the truth, but you three and your cronies couldn't accept that truth because it didn't serve your purposes. So you fabricated charges against me, just like you fabricated charges against Jonah." He steps closer, his voice dropping to a more dangerous register. "But I escaped, and I'm here now to tell the truth one more time. Jonah Williams is innocent. Lily McCombs loves him freely. And you four need to leave before this gets ugly." The townspeople close in tighter, a wall of armed men surrounding the four visitors. Harry looks around wildly, finally realizing the depth of their defeat. They're outnumbered, outgunned, and morally outmaneuvered. Harry looks at his companions Baldwin, Culcrick, Lincoln, and sees the same fear in their eyes that he feels in his own gut. They came here expecting to intimidate, to overpower, to reclaim what they believed was rightfully theirs. Instead, they've been surrounded, humiliated, and shown the futility of their mission. "Hey, Shane," Harry yells, desperation creeping into his voice. "Why are you looking like some lame cowboy? Ain't you gonna fight? That's what we came here for." Baldwin's hand hovers near his gun, but he doesn't draw. He's a businessman, not a gunfighter, and he knows when the odds are impossible. "Nat, Stewart," Harry continues, his voice breaking. "What's going on with you guys? We're here to win. We can't just give up." But Culcrick and Lincoln are already backing toward their horses, their faces pale. They didn't sign up to die in some dusty frontier town. They came because they thought it would be easy, that they could impose their will through sheer arrogance. They were wrong. Jonah and Lily stepped forward together, still holding hands. Lily speaks, her voice carrying across the silent crowd. "Harry, there's something else you need to know. Jonah and I are planning a wedding. Soon, within the month." She looks at her brother with sadness in her eyes. "I want you to pass a message to Father. Tell him his daughter is pregnant and happy. Tell him that in a few months he'll be a grandfather. And tell him," her voice catches slightly, "tell him I would like him to be at the wedding if he can find it in his heart to accept this." Harry stares at her as if she's a stranger. Perhaps, in his mind, she is. The sister he knew would never defy their father, would never choose love over duty, would never bear a child with a man of another race. This woman standing before him is someone else entirely, someone he doesn't recognize and cannot understand. "You want him at your wedding?" Harry's laugh is bitter, broken. "After what you've done to him? After the shame you've brought on our family? Lily, you're delusional if you think he'll ever accept this. You're delusional if you think any of us will." He draws himself up, trying to reclaim some shred of dignity from this disaster. From this moment forward, Lily McCombs, you are disowned by the McCombs family. Don't you dare step foot in Fort Myers ever again. You're dead to us, dead to me, dead to Father. Do you understand? Lily's eyes fill with tears, but her voice remains steady. "I understand that you're hurt, Harry. I understand that you're scared. But I also understand that I'm making the right choice for me, for Jonah, and for our child. And someday, maybe you'll understand that too." Samuel Three Bears steps forward one final time, his walking stick tapping against the hard-packed earth. "You have heard your answer, young men. You came seeking to take something that does not belong to you. You have failed. Now you must leave, or face the consequences." He gestures to the crowd surrounding them, dozens of armed men, all watching with hard eyes. These people will not hesitate to defend their own. You can leave with your lives and your pride damaged, or you can stay and be buried here. The choice is yours. The threat is clear and unmistakable. This is not a bluff. If Harry and his men push this any further, they will die here in the street, and no one will mourn them. Harry looks around one last time, at his sister, at Jonah, at the sea of hostile faces. He's lost. Completely, utterly lost. There's no way forward, except retreat. "Let's go," he mutters to his companions. The four men mount their horses, their movements stiff with humiliation and suppressed rage. As they turn to leave, the crowd parts before them, creating a corridor to the edge of town. But it's not a respectful parting, it's mocking, deliberate, showing them exactly how unwelcome they are. As they ride away, the townspeople begin to laugh, not cruel laughter, but the joyous, relieved laughter of people who've faced down a threat and won without bloodshed. Children wave goodbye mockingly. Women call out farewells heavy with sarcasm. The men just watch, silent and vigilant, until the four riders disappear over the horizon. Harry McCombs doesn't look back. He can't bear to. Behind him lies his sister, his family's honor, and any hope of redemption. Ahead lies only the long, shameful ride back to Fort Myers, where he'll have to explain his failure to everyone who sent him off with such high hopes. Samuel Three Bears' prophecy has come true. They are leaving in shame, just as he said they would. The evening falls gently over Fenmore Town as the last traces of dust from Harry's departure settle back to earth. Jonah and Lily stand together, her hand resting on the slight swell of her pregnant stomach, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson. "Do you think he'll really deliver the message to your father?" Jonah asks quietly. Lily shrugs. "I don't know. Harry's so consumed by anger right now. He might not. But I have to hope. I have to believe that somewhere beneath all that hatred, my father still loves me." The townspeople celebrate late into the night, not just the victory over Harry and his men, but the reaffirmation of what Fenmore Town represents. A place where love matters more than skin color, where community is built on mutual respect rather than rigid hierarchy, where people can be free. 3 months pass. Lily's pregnancy progresses, her belly growing round and full. She glows with health and happiness, surrounded by women of the town who share their wisdom about childbirth and motherhood. Jonah works harder than ever, saving money for the expanded cabin they'll need, preparing for fatherhood with a mixture of joy and terror. The wedding is planned for a Saturday in late spring, when the wildflowers are in full bloom and the weather is perfect. Lily works with the women of the town to make her dress simple but beautiful, befitting a frontier wedding. Jonah cleans his best suit, borrowed from Jesse Orwin, who stands as his best man. On the morning of the wedding, a lone rider approaches Fenmore Town. The sentries, ever vigilant after Harry's visit, prepare to challenge him. But then they recognize the figure in the saddle, and word spreads through the town like wildfire. Judge Wayne McCombs has come to his daughter's wedding. He rides slowly through the town, his face showing every one of his years. He's thinner than when Lily last saw him, his hair grayer, his eyes haunted by ghosts and regrets. He stops in front of the house where Lily is preparing for the ceremony. When Lily emerges, radiant in her simple dress, her belly round with child, father and daughter stand facing each other across a chasm of hurt and misunderstanding. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then Judge McCombs dismounts and walks toward his daughter. "Lily," he says, his voice rough with emotion. I don't have the words. I've been so wrong about so many things." Lily's eyes fill with tears. "You came. I didn't think you would, but you came." "Of course I came," he says. "You're my daughter, and I want to meet the man who loves you enough to walk 100 miles to his own hanging rather than betray you." Jonah steps out of the house, and the two men face each other, the judge who once sentenced him to death and the cowboy who survived. The moment is charged with history, with pain, with the possibility of reconciliation or renewed conflict. McCombs extends his hand. "Mr. Williams, I owe you an apology that no words can adequately express. I let fear and prejudice cloud my judgment. I sentenced an innocent man to death because I was more concerned with appearances than with truth. I'm sorry." Jonah looks at the offered hand for a long moment, then takes it. "I won't say it's forgotten, Judge, because it's not, and it never will be. But I can say this: Lily loves you, despite everything. And because I love her, I'm willing to start fresh, for her sake and for the sake of our child." The wedding that follows is unlike anything Fort Myers has ever seen. Samuel Three Bears performs the ceremony, incorporating both Christian and Native American elements. The bride is white, the groom black, and the guests represent every color and culture of the frontier. It's beautiful and defiant. In equal measure, a celebration of love's power to transcend the boundaries society tries to impose. Judge McCombs stands beside his daughter throughout, tears streaming down his face. When Samuel asks if anyone objects to the union, the judge looks around at the assembled crowd and says clearly, "I give this marriage my blessing." May Jonah and Lily find happiness together, and may they build a family founded on love rather than hate. The celebration lasts late into the night. There's music and dancing, food and drink, laughter and joy. The judge stays for 2 days, getting to know his future son-in-law, talking with Lily about the grandchild he'll meet in a few months, and slowly beginning to understand what his daughter has found here in Fenmore Town. When he finally prepares to leave, he takes Lily aside one last time. "Your mother would be proud of you," he tells her. "Eleanor always said love was the most important thing. I forgot that for a while. I'm sorry it took me so long to remember." As for Harry McCombs, word filters back that he's relocated to another town far from both Fort Myers and Fenmore Town. He started a law practice there, building a new life away from the shame of his failure. He still carries hatred in his heart that much is clear from the few letters he sends. But Samuel Three Bears is right about many things, and perhaps he's right about this too. Someday, somehow, even Harry might find healing. But that's a story for another day. For now, the story of Jonah Williams and Lily McCombs has found its happy ending. Not perfect. Nothing in this world ever is, but real, and hard-won and true. They build their life together in Fenmore Town, raising their child in a community that values what people do rather than what they look like. It's not easy. Prejudice doesn't disappear just because you find a sanctuary from it. But they face each challenge together, with the support of friends who've become family. And on quiet evenings, when the work is done and the child is asleep, Jonah and Lily sit on their porch and watch the sunset, holding hands and remembering the long, terrible walk that brought them here. It could have ended so differently in death, in separation, in despair, but instead, it ended in life, in love, in hope. Sometimes the wrong horse, the one everyone says you shouldn't ride, the one that looks dangerous, the one that goes against every rule you've been taught, turns out to be exactly the right horse after all.